Greetings and salutations, young true believers. So today, I want to talk to you about aesthetic cognitivism. Aesthetic cognitivism is a new view under the philosophical sun. Well, it's new insofar as philosophers have finally they've gotten to the point where they've given it a name. The view itself has been around in some form or another for a while, and by a while, probably like the last 500 years. Well, as always, it's a good philosophical practice to define terms. So, what is aesthetic cognitivism? You'll see that I posted several closer to truth videos about this very topic in the modules. But aesthetic cognitivism is the view that works of art provide insight into reality, right? Now, that might seem pretty straightforward and maybe even, what I want to say, it might strike you as patently obvious, right? But you should know this view is extremely controversial, and not the least reason being is because scientists believe that describing reality as it is in and of itself, the way the world actually is the exclusive purview of the natural sciences, and to a lesser degree the social sciences. So what do I mean? Well, when a chemist tells you that what's in your bottle is hydrogen bonded to oxygen, that chemist is going to tell you, look, I'm telling you something about the way the world is, the way reality is, independent of human cognition or observance of it. This is the way the world is, right? And again, it's a conceit of scientists. That's what I call it, the conceit of scientists. We're telling you something about the way the world is. And moreover, they believe that only science can do this. Only the natural sciences can do this. Well, recently philosophers have begun to challenge this notion, right? But you might think, okay, well, what insights into reality can aesthetics possibly afford us? Well, if you listen to the Eileen John interview on Philosophy Bites, you would have heard her say she had a student who said, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember exactly what the quotation from the student was, but it's something along these lines. I read ethical theory to understand morality, but I watch plays and movies and listen to music to feel morality, right? So aesthetic cognitivism then is the view that again, art gives us insight into morality. Well, okay, what facets, that art gives us insight into reality. Well, what facets of reality? Well, art gives us a great deal of insight into human moral psychology and human moral behavior, right? And this, I think, is exactly what Friedrich Nietzsche was going on about, what he was up to in much of his work in the late 19th century, right? Nietzsche has this famous argument: God is dead, we've killed him. So what does Nietzsche mean by God is dead? Nietzsche, being an atheist, doesn't think there was ever actually a literal God that lived and died. Rather, what he means is the world is becoming increasingly secular, and it's pretty remarkable that he saw that in the late 19th century. The world was much more religious then than it is now. And he thinks this is for two reasons. One, we live in a world, post-industrial revolution, where human beings tend to solve their problems by appeal to secular means, right? If there's a disease, we look for a vaccine, hence what we're going through right now, right? If you suffer an injury, you go to a hospital. You don't pray for God to make it better, right? We become secular, increasingly secular, right? God becomes an afterthought. We look to science first to solve our problems, science and technology. So that having been said, there's one thing that science and technology can't replace, and that's value, right? And Nietzsche notes a lot of people, historically, ancient medieval world, up until his time, the late 19th century, got their values from their belief in God. Belief in God is on the wane, but we still need value. What can replace the values that we've lost with his metaphorical death of God? Nietzsche responds, art. Great art can replace those values. And I remember when I was your age, when I was a philosophical undergraduate, I used to think this was ridiculous. How could art possibly replace, value in that way? But now I absolutely agree with Nietzsche. I see exactly what he means. It's one thing to go to your ethics class and just intro philosophy class, whatever, and hear your professor talk about ethical theory. It's another to be in a situation where you're watching a film, or you're at a play, and or even reading a book, reading a great piece of literature for that matter, and you feel yourself empathizing with the character, right? This is something academic philosophy, ethical theory can't make you empathize, but great art can make you empathize. It can make you feel the value, right? So if art then can make us come to terms with our moral feelings, right? Yeah, absolutely. It can be a source of morality, and an extremely important source of morality, right? And one that I think will be utilized much more extensively going forward in the next few centuries than it has been hitherto.